They were beating both male and female migrants and given no food. They didn't respect the women at all. They gave water only once at night.
All right, let's bring in Caroline Gluck. She's in Tunis and is the External Relations Officer for the UNHCR. Caroline, good to have you with us here on TRT World. So what are we seeing happening here with these migrants in Libya? Will any assistance be given to them?
Well, thank you for having me today. We're talking about thousands of people since the 1st of October were swept up in very broad security operation conducted by the Libyan authorities. These began at 4 a.m. People were brought out of their homes in large-scale arrests, in raids on houses. Many of their homes were demolished. So what we're seeing now is still many thousands are held in detention. Many are homeless. They've lost their homes, their belongings, even their telephones. And they are extremely frightened. Even people who were not caught up in the security sweep are scared to go out. They fear arrest at any time. They've stopped going out. Maybe they'll go out just to try and get some food, but they've stopped going for work as well because they feel terrorized and frightened. They don't know what to do at the moment. And this is really an unprecedented situation. I've been working on the Libya file for the last 2 years. We haven't seen this level of fear among particularly asylum seekers and refugees. Life has already been very difficult, very challenging for them in Libya because they're not regarded as asylum seekers with the protection that affords. They're regarded by the authorities as illegal migrants who are liable to arrest at any time and can often face harassment, persecution, detention, even trafficking and smuggling. So things have gotten very bad.
Yeah, and just to be clear for our viewers who aren't paying attention exactly to this story, Libya is the jumping off point to get into Europe through Italy, isn't it? So there's always been a huge population of migrants trying to get through there. Those that are being held, Caroline, do we know held to what end? Is there due to be deportations back to their home countries? Is that the idea here?
Well, we simply don't know. They were arbitrarily detained. There is no judicial process. We're particularly concerned, for example, there are many women and children among those who are being held in detention. And these facilities are really dire. For example, one in which there was a mass escape a couple of days after the raids first began was 4 times the level that is acceptable. They're completely overcrowded. There are very basic or non-existent washing facilities. And this is at a time when coronavirus is still very high in Libya. Nobody was socially distanced. Nobody was wearing masks. And as I said, hygiene facilities are very poor. These are some of the conditions that people are being held in. So very concerning.
Absolutely right. And there are so many migrant situations in various different parts of the world that it's often hard to keep your eye on exactly which ones are causing the most hardship. But anyone caught up in them finds themselves in a terrible situation. So where will the funding come from to try and help those people who are stuck in Libya? Where does this go from here, do you think?
Well, many people, I think some of the terminology is a little bit confusing. Some people come to Libya for economic opportunities and they want to work here. They can earn the money and there are approximately 600,000 migrants working or living in Libya. There are many people who are refugees or asylum seekers. They fled their home countries due to fear, persecution, conflict and violence. They are hoping to reach safety. Many see Libya as a stopping point, as you said, on the way to the Mediterranean and the sea crossing, which is very dangerous. Other people are asking us for protection. Regarding the latest security operation, we are providing assistance, but we acknowledge that the help we are providing is quite limited and doesn't reflect the scale of need at the moment. So, for example, we've been providing emergency cash assistance, so people can use that towards rent and finding new housing. We've been providing food assistance, which will last a family for a month. We are providing counselling and replacing of UNHCR documents for those who held them but lost everything in the raids and the arrests. So we are doing what we can in very difficult situations. Several thousand people have been gathering outside one of our centres, which is the Community Day Centre in Tripoli, where previously we provided counselling, psychological services, medical services, cash assistance, and so on. Unfortunately, we had to suspend operations there because of safety and security reasons. Some people were injured, and many women and children who were in the crowd couldn't get access into the building where we wanted to provide help. So we are now providing help to some of the more vulnerable people in other locations. It's not ideal. We have been engaging with those gathered outside our community day centre and asking them to disperse for the time being so we can start to upscale our assistance and do it more quickly. However, many people don't want to hear that, unfortunately, and their main demand is evacuation and resettlement outside of Libya, which is something that's very difficult for us to provide at the moment. We have now the verbal green light to resume these flights, but the scale of these flights means that we will not be able to provide this assistance to everybody. And one of the reasons is that we do not provide the places. So, for example, resettlement flights and evacuation flights depend on other countries to offer safe spaces in those countries for people who are desperately in need. And this has always been a problem, not just in Libya, but globally. Less than 1% of all refugees who would be prioritised for these flights are actually able to get places.
Absolutely right, just such a challenging situation, but we wish you the very best of luck in all of your work. Caroline Gluck from UNHCR Libya, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.